Does anyone else like to think about time? Because I like to think about time. And I like to think about time in ways that help me place myself when I need to broaden my perspective of what it is that I'm doing in the day to day and how it fits into the larger picture of my life. So, days, chapters, seasons, eras. It's so useful to be able to zoom out and think of, well, what is the chapter that I'm in right now? What is the season? What is the era of my life that I'm in right now? And I like thinking about this because we are, as human beings, meaning-making machines in one dimension. We are telling a story as we live our lives. Most of us, maybe I can't speak for all of us, but generally we have some kind of story about who we are and what we're doing and what we're up to and how it fits into the larger narrative of our life. And perhaps we all have that to some degree, some people more so than others. I like thinking in this way, though, because it helps me contextualize where I am in this particular moment. And it helps me think about, well, what am I going to focus on this season of my life? Or what chapter am I in now? Is there a chapter that I'm closing, right? So thinking about if we change cities, right? When I've moved to a new city, when I have entered into a new relationship, or when I've completed a relationship, it's the ending of a chapter and the opening into a new chapter, right? If I'm in the process of something, of creating some work of art or in some kind of business endeavor, that I'm deep inside of a chapter of focusing on that particular thing that I'm bringing to life. And it helps me anchor into what I'm doing on the day to day. This is why people also have these resolutions that they come up with or themes, right? For the year, for the upcoming year, this is what my focus is, right? You can do this for a season. You can do this for a literal season, like for the winter, right? I'm focusing on my body, like my physical health is going to be at the forefront of my life, right? I'm going to focus on these other things as well, right? In my day to day, but like for me to anchor into the main objective is having my body feel healthier, feel more vital, feel stronger by the end of this season, right? So you can think about the actual seasons of winter, spring, summer, fall, but also a more like in a more broad sense, like the season, what season of life am I in right now? You know, what is the, like a season being a period of time that is not so necessarily concrete as it's 3 months, but like what season of life am I in right now? And what am I devoted to in this season? What is the focal point of my intention in this season? And I feel this is really helpful because what our focal point is from season to season, from chapter to chapter, is going to change. That's just the nature of life. And so when we can place ourselves in the awareness of what season we're in, what chapter we're in, what era we're in, right? Again, it helps us anchor into, well, what is there for me to do in the day to day? It helps us refine what our intentions are. And that it helps us refine when we have some kind of intention to become even more intentional, right? To recognize, okay, well, if my intention is my to focus on my body in this season, what does that look like in my day to day? Right? Does it look like me committing to going to the gym every other day each week? Does it look like me finally getting a juicer and learning how to juice and having a juice every morning? Does it look like me fasting once a month to completely clear my system and my body out, right? Whatever it looks like loosening the rigidity of having to have some kind of strict schedule, but again, seeing in terms of a season, I just feel like it lends itself to greater effectiveness for a lot of people, because there are people who live and die by the schedule and having their whole life scheduled. And that's all well and good. I have just discovered, as someone who needs and does well with an amount of discipline, but also needs and does well with an amount of spaciousness, that seeing my life and days and time from this vantage point of the season or the chapter or the era that I am in right now is in service. And it helps me feel a sense of enjoyment and contentment with where I am when I contextualize it inside the story of my life. And when I zoom out into the view of my lifetime, it feels so good to be able to place the current era that I'm in relation to what era I know is coming for me. So, as a woman who is available for courtship and marriage, and like the dating and the process to meeting and being met by and found by that person, well, I can more appropriately house myself inside of this era and make choices for myself in this era if I know that I am living into an era of being a wife, of being married, and then all the chapters and seasons and eras that are born of that. I'm sharing this definitely for those of you who think in terms of story and think in a poetic and metaphorical and creative sense. Because, as I said, I have learned that discipline is very, very important to me. And I think the reason I rebelled against being disciplined for a long time is because I thought that it required rigidity. And I really, really appreciate this honoring of being disciplined about how I spend my days and my time, but because it exists within a larger, broader context of the narrative and the story of my life and my days and the creation that my life gets to be. So I hope that is of service to some of you creative minds out there. And I would love to know if you want to share What is the season or the chapter or the era that you're in right now? Or perhaps what are the intentions that you are seeding for yourself for the upcoming chapter, the upcoming season, the upcoming era of your life? Sending you so much love.